All right. Hello. EHAB
Hello, hello.
ZEINEDDINE. Welcome to the Mind Body Business Podcast. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing good, doing good. Just came back from the gym, so a little bit hungry, but full of energy. So we're good. I'm happy to do this.
Yeah. So you're all about optimizing human performance, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But first, I'm really interested in how you grew up. What did your childhood look like? Where did you grow up, and what was your family structure, and how do you think that that kind of shaped you into who you are today?
Big question to start off
It
with. I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Still figuring out who I am and why I'm the way I am. I mean, I grew up like low to middle class. My family moved from Lebanon to Australia. Always was like covered. Like I didn't have to worry about money, worry about food or anything. But it
Yeah.
was like low to middle class. So I guess, yeah.
Did you have
Um,
siblings?
Yeah, one sister, both parents married, still married to her now. Small house, grew up in an area in southeast Melbourne called Springvale South, which is a very Asian dominated area. So a lot of like all my friends were basically Cambodian, Vietnamese.
Really?
So it's interesting. I grew up in Australia, but there's no Australians. Like it's funny. They're
Right.
good people
Yeah.
anyway. They're like my best mates. But what else was in that question? It was a big question.
Yeah, it was a big question and kind of goes a little bit deeper than normal questions do. But how did you think that your parents, obviously they're still married, and that's kind of it's not really normal these days. The divorce rate is super high, and so how was your relationship with your parents? Did you feel comfortable in your household? Because some people didn't really have that a comfortable experience in their own household. And my situation is a little bit different as far as that goes. But how did that shape you into your journey within fitness? Were your parents into maybe optimizing performance, or your sister? It just ended up something that you got into on your own?
Yeah, it's hard for me to like. I think we all tell stories as to why something happened, but truth to be told, I don't know why I got into health and fitness. I think maybe I got into health and fitness because I think what triggered me to really start like taking care of my health, the first thing was like the gym. There was a girl I liked, and she was like going to the gym, and she was like, like she had like strong legs and like some toned muscle, and I was like, I'm skinny. Like, how can I get that girl if I'm skinny? So that kind of
Right,
made
right.
me pull the trigger and start going to the gym. But yeah, I felt safe at home. I mean, parents not really, they're not really that like they don't eat bad, but they're kind of just like normal
Yeah.
parents. They just eat okay. They don't really exercise that much. Just work normal 9 to 5 jobs. So it was definitely not from my family that motivated me to get into health and performance. I do think I know why I got really into my business and health and performance, but I wouldn't say
Yeah.
parents really got me into it.
Yeah, how did that come about? So besides, maybe wanting to impress the chick, how did you end up saying to yourself, okay, this is something that I really want to do? And obviously you've taken it to a level further than most people do.
Yeah, so with this business, I mean, there was a point where I was like, do you want me to explain how I got into it or when I really started my business?
Both. Yeah, you can
Okay.
start from the beginning, whatever happened first
Okay.
there.
Yeah, okay. So I would say like when I was 17 or so, I started getting into a bit of self-help, like just, going to the gym, looking better, haircuts, all that kind of stuff. And then I guess a year after I was just kind of like smoking weed, going to the gym, not really like doing anything much with my life, a bit lost. And then so I started listening to Joe Rogan, and he's obviously really about health and stuff. And there
Yeah.
was one video about diet where he really explained things in a good way. And I was thinking about diet in a different way, where like we are what we eat and how you eat
Yeah.
affects your mood and all this stuff. And it just opened up my mind. I was like, oh wow, like there's more to it than just okay, you eat food when you're hungry. Like there's
Right.
way more to it. It's like, oh, you can
Yeah.
feel better. Like, okay, I could eat better, I could sleep better. So I started watching more videos about like sleep, net fasting, diet, and I started experimenting a little bit with like cold showers and intermittent fasting and just a little bit, just like dipping my toes in the water a little bit. And I just said, oh, wow, this is cool. You can influence your biology, you can influence your energy levels, how you feel, your focus, etc. Like, how can I use this to like have a better workout? How can I use this to like, I don't know, feel better when I'm meeting someone, Or like, how can I
Yeah.
use this to perform better in school? I didn't really care about school that much. I was never really optimizing myself for school. This was after
Yeah.
school anyway, but so there was that. I didn't really go too far into it. I think what made me get really, really into it was when I was just like a little bit depressed. Like I was just smoking weed. It was like the end of lockdown, the end of 2020, and I was just like I wouldn't say rock bottom. My life was never really that bad, but I was just like overly stimulated with dopamine, just playing games and going on dirty websites and like smoking weed. and I
Yeah.
just like felt like shit. So I was just like, I want to feel better. How do I feel better?
Yeah.
And yeah, just got off weed, stopped playing video games, and just through that whole journey, it's like, okay, I feel like shit. How do I feel better? And you just learn, okay, you can eat better, you can sleep better. And I just started getting into all this stuff about everything, like breathing through your nose. I had issues with my sleep. That was like a big bottleneck in my performance. Like I had a really broken nose, like a deviated septum from MMA training. I got hit.
Oh, really?
It was always
Yeah.
deviated, but it got knocked up a lot harder. And then
Yeah.
I was like, shit, this was like really affecting my sleep. On top of that, I'd say like, so there was sleep, really bad gut health, probably from like stress or whatever. If I took antibiotics when I was younger or I was just stressed, I don't know. That was a big thing for me, gut health. And yeah, just started learning. I was just really driven to improve my health and just feel better.
Yeah.
That was my motive, just to feel better.
Yeah.
And through that, I just learned a bunch of things about how to improve your health. And I guess once I started feeling okay, then I was already kind of in the rabbit hole of health and performance. I was like, oh, how can I maximize this and really take my health to that next level, take my performance to that next level, you know?
Yeah, getting off of smoking pot and smoking weed and so that's really hard for people. And I feel like I see people using it as a crutch to feel better. So it's pretty incredible that you notice that that wasn't making you feel better. And it's kind of like it's a seductive drug and it
Yeah,
tricks you into thinking that you are feeling better because it is that quick
yeah.
dopamine. So what did that process look like of resetting your dopamine system? With the cold showers, are you still doing cold showers?
Yeah,
And because that's obviously tough to wake up
yeah,
early in the morning and take a cold shower.
yeah. I think when you're motivated to go away from pain, you're motivated, like normal people who
Yeah.
feel okay, they probably don't really want to wake up and jump in a cold shower all the time. I don't really do cold showers now anymore. There's a lot of things I did back then that I don't do now.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
yeah,
because
getting off
there's,
weed and
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
going off weed, yeah, not easy. Like you become cranky, you become like it's hard to eat, it's hard to sleep. I wasn't that addicted to weed compared to other people, but I was like maybe a daily smoker for like a few years. So yeah, it was not easy, but it wasn't the
Yeah.
hardest to be fair. Yeah. It's just like you go on a streak and then you fail and then you kind of just over time you just end up. And then now I just like to be honest, even when I was smoking weed, it didn't actually make me feel that much better. I was just like I just wanted to like feel something because I was so bored
Yeah.
and like just purposeless. I just wanted to feel something, just get high. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Gut health is a big thing and it's something that I've been focusing on a lot more lately myself. So what would you say is like the biggest downfall that people get into that destroys gut health?
I would say one thing is taking antibiotics and then not repairing your gut health afterwards. Because there's been a study or like something published about it where obviously many people are dying from like diseases, skin infections, etc. So just mainly skin infections and other infections. And many people were dying. And then when they brought out antibiotics, it helped a lot of people. But then that also bred a lot of diseases and illnesses coming from poor gut health because the antibiotics kills like all of the good bacteria essentially. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing, antibiotics, you need to be careful with that and make sure you replenish your gut health. The other thing is, stress really affects your gut health. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact like scientific reasoning behind that. I
Sure.
probably learned it a few years ago now. I just implement the protocols. I can't really remember it too well, but yeah, I think like what affects your gut health really the most is like stress. Obviously, what you eat, having like artificial sweeteners and all these processed foods and stuff like that, and also just poor sleep. Not recovering
Yeah.
properly, which everything kind of affects each other. The poor gut health affects sleep. Bad sleep affects gut health. Causes stress. Stress affects all other areas. So it's yeah, people don't realize that your gut is really like a sign of your overall health, I'd say, in
Yeah.
most of the time.
So speaking of, a kind of optimize, have you gotten into taking colostrum? Have you heard of
Colostrum,
that? Yeah.
I have my friend was about to start a company for that, and then he pivoted to a different product, colostrum.
Yeah.
He told me it's like the milk of a baby cow or something like that. Is
Yeah,
that
so
true?
it's like
Yeah,
it's the first shot and it's supposed to it's like that initial shot of nutrients. And,
yeah.
humans, women produce it as well. And when they're first, when the baby's first drinking milk, a big portion of that is colostrum. It's
Mm,
brain health, lung health, gut health. And That's actually one supplement that I've been wanting to get back on. And it was an incredible supplement where I would put it, just a scoop or two of it in some milk, stir it up,
Mm.
and drink it like after a workout. And it would fill me up. Like it was
Yeah.
weird. It really, yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever. And it would fill me up. And apparently in some sports, they actually test for it because technically it's a performance enhancer, right?
Yeah.
And so it almost acts as a steroid, but it's not. It's like a legal,
Right.
natural form of that. And when I was really into bodybuilding, and I want to touch on that and get your opinion on bodybuilding, because I think it can be pretty unhealthy, but I felt like I was putting more muscle on, retaining muscle better. My recovery was better. Yeah, so colostrum's something that I'm probably going to get back into.
What's in colostrum? Is it just super nutrient dense? Is there other, nutrients and minerals that are super dense in it compared to other things? Or what's
It
actually in it?
is. I haven't done too much research on it, but when I was taking it daily, it was a total game changer, and it's quite expensive. It's not, a cheap
No, I bet.
supplement to take. And I was into, taking protein supplements and things like that, but I've gotten away from that. I've been trying to get more onto a natural diet. So, on the natural diet, what does your diet look like? What do you eat every day, and what does that look like
Yeah.
on a daily
Okay.
basis?
Nothing crazy. Like for breakfast nowadays, I'm having Greek yogurt with frozen berries and honey, and maybe like a little bit of banana, not too much sugar in the morning. And that
Okay.
keeps me full for like another 3 to 4 hours. I'll start feeling hungry after around 3 to 4 hours. After that, I'll have sourdough bread with eggs and a
Okay.
few cherry tomatoes cooked with butter.
Nice.
After that, I'll have like a chicken and rice with a bit of veg, sauerkraut. That's usually like my post-workout meal. Then
Yeah.
after that, I'll have what do I usually have for my last meal? Maybe like a beef or a fish or more chicken. I shouldn't have more chicken. I should really mix it up more with just more fruit throughout the day. I'll try and get organic fruit,
Yeah.
rice or sweet potatoes as a carbohydrate source.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing crazy. I think the reason I have this diet is because I used to do intermittent fasting, and I was like, I just want to have this maximum brain power in the morning. But I'm a bit against it because you're essentially running on stress hormones, and as entrepreneurs, as business owners, people in general, you're already stressing so much throughout the day. So
Yeah.
when you add starving yourself, and you're spamming your adrenals and cortisol, on top of exercising hard throughout the day, throughout the week, it just makes your life a bit harder. I tend to crash out from my experience. So that's the
Yeah.
reasoning behind that. I try and have steady protein and carbohydrates throughout the day, every 3 to 4 hours, just to keep my blood sugar nice and stable. So that's the reasoning
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah. I like that you're on the sourdough and eggs. That's
Yeah,
been my breakfast for the longest time now. And
I
I
love it.
can't get away from it. Yeah. A little
I love
sourdough
it. Yeah.
bread. Like I put like 4 eggs. Sometimes I do like over medium or just scramble them. And I actually
Yeah,
drizzle olive oil over them afterwards.
that is good.
And
It's a good
yeah, I've
idea.
been doing trying to stay a little bit more low carb, where I'll still intake the carbs, but higher fat sources. What do you think
Uh,
about like the difference between a burn between carbs and fats?
what do you mean by burn? What's that?
Like energy level, right? So you got to get your energy from somewhere. And typically it's not just protein, where protein is kind of going to restore your body or, heal your body
Yeah,
after it's been put under some sort of stress. And you have to have some sort of energy coming in, right? And energy can be in the form of carbohydrate or it can be in the form of fats. And I
yeah,
think the carbohydrates are a quicker burn, but the fats are more of a longer burn. So it's not like a quick energy where, you eat a bunch of rice and all of a sudden you
yeah,
can, go run or lift weights again. But the fats are definitely, it takes a longer time to burn the
yeah,
energy from fats that I've
yeah,
found.
yeah. It's interesting. I find there's often people who are like high fat or high carbohydrates. I used to be high
Yeah.
fat for a while, and it's weird because you'd kind of feel good, but you'd feel good mainly from the because often like the fats you're eating, like if it's beef or eggs or raw milk, raw cheese, raw dairy, whatever, raw honey. Oh, that's not fat, but you feel really good from it. But it's mainly from like the nutrients, whatever's inside it, not really like energy per se. I might be
Hmm.
wrong, but ever since I switched to high carbs and I time it properly, I just feel a lot better. And I find that even working with clients, I often find them on like high fat, low to medium carbs, and they just feel so much better having high carbs.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think like your brain and
Interesting.
body just utilizes it a lot easier and better than fat.
Yeah.
I think you can train your body to utilize fat. It can become like fat adaptable, as I've learned.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's like keto.
I think, yeah. It's like you're half in keto, but there's a way of going about it. I think just for me though, I can't speak for what works for anyone else, but for me, because I'm in the gym a lot, I like to walk around. I like to do like, martial arts. So I just prefer having carbohydrates. It works better for me. But I think whatever works for anyone, to be honest, when it comes to diet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
What's your
think
experience?
yeah, you're right. Like there's not like one way to eat or one way to work out. And I think in my experience, so a couple of years ago, or it's been a few years ago now, I was going through flight training and I didn't really have much to do. So I would spend, like 4 hours a day in the gym. And then I started trying to, because I'm naturally skinny. I burn calories. My metabolism's very fast. And kind of like you said, this chick, she's got these, legs and she's got muscle on her, and I was just a skinny, always an athlete, but still skinny, right? And I wanted to be big and put on a bunch of muscle.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you weigh or how tall you are, but I'm about 6'2", and I sit naturally. My body really wants to hang out around like 170, 175. And when I started bodybuilding, I was at like 150. So I was, really skinny. And I ended up over the span of 2 years getting to the heaviest I'd ever been was 200 pounds. And so I got to
Damn.
200 pounds and it took me, it was crazy. It was like 5 meals a day and it wasn't little meals. Like it was like I was
Yeah.
eating until I couldn't anymore, drinking protein shakes and, all
Yeah.
sorts of supplements. And it got to where if I wasn't eating, I was like having a mental breakdown and stressing. And so it almost turned into an eating disorder where if I wasn't eating
Yeah.
something, I was feeling guilty. Or then I'd wake up the next
Oh
morning
yeah.
and I knew I didn't time my protein or my carb intake correctly. And I was, stressed. And I look at myself in the mirror and feel like I was smaller than I was the day before. And it would just stress me
Yeah.
out. And so I beat myself up a lot. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into with you a little bit was kind of the dark side behind bodybuilding, because I think there
Yeah.
is a dark side
Yeah.
and you're
100%.
losing some athleticism when you're, focusing on that. And so how was your, journey within lifting weights? Because obviously, improving strength is important, but there can be, what do you think about that? Like just putting muscle on and those guys that are in there eating 5, 6 meals a day and it's all they can think about is their next meal. What do you think about that?
But I think, I mean, it just depends how they go about it. Like, are we talking about a guy who's maybe similar to you, like the journey you went on, or
So
like
what
the
about you?
typical
What was
my
your
journey?
is your journey, yeah, within bodybuilding and improving strength and overall
Okay.
health?
Yeah. Okay. When I started, it was like a long time ago. It was like 2018. I was in my final year of high school. I did gain like, because I'm short. I'm like 5'6", run our way like 70 kilos. When I started going to the gym, I was like 50, 52, maybe 54, and I went up to like
Okay.
six. I gained like maybe 8 kilos in like 6, 7 months, which I was really happy
Yeah.
with. I looked like quite different.
Yeah.
That was cool. Ever since I started, I really committed. I was never crazy. Like I was never like 5 days a week. I was always kind of like a 3 to 4 day guy. I was a bit lazy to be honest, but I
Yeah.
guess like with the mental aspect, it's just such a, especially when you're young, like you have zero patience. Like you
Yeah,
got no
right.
patience, and you just like, why am I not growing fast enough, or why am I not burning this fat fast enough? And yeah, I mean, when you're young, like you just don't know any better. You're just eating like
Yeah.
I was never eating that bad, but I was eating kind of bad compared to now. And yeah, there definitely is like now that I think about it, there is definitely a dark side to bodybuilding, like body dysmorphia and
Yeah.
just eating, especially too late, close to bed. I used to always do that and wake up with terrible sleep and just always get tired and get brain fog. It's fucking
Yeah.
hard to grow your body, to gain weight is not like an easy thing to do, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, especially like the bodybuilding is kind of for, I would say, for people that naturally put on a lot of weight. It's easy for them because then they can keep eating if they want to keep eating and, just working out. I worked with this one chick years ago and she was a little bit heavier and she went through this thing where, it was some, mental whatever, and she just quit eating. She was like, I'm
mm,
fat, I feel bad about myself, so she quit eating and started running a lot and like just stopped like she would go days without eating and then
No,
eat
fuck.
something and
Okay.
then go a couple more days with, yeah, like really bad.
Damn.
And it broke her body down so bad, she ended up losing her hair. Like her hair was falling out because she wasn't properly, taking in enough nutrition. Her nutrition was crap.
Yeah.
She was running a lot, like every day, just trying to like strip the weight off. And when I
Man.
found her, I was in the bodybuilding, I was kind of getting into that at the time. And I was like, you just need to lift weights and eat. Like you need to eat more and just lift weights.
Yeah,
And the
yeah, yeah.
transformation that she went through over, the span of a year was incredible. Actually putting on muscle, her hair started growing back in, like it was just crazy, So people definitely go through, like the body dysmorphia and going to incredible extremes to try and fix that, whatever it
Yeah.
is that they think is necessary.
Yeah.
And my mom went through, and I come from kind of an athletic background where, all my family played sports and they're all super healthy and all of that. But when my mother was young, she went through, what's that disease called where, God, I'm spacing on it now, but they like feel bad about eating and they'll make themselves throw up afterwards.
Anorexia, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Anorexia. Yeah. And that's scary, man. That's
yeah.
really scary. That's like, I mean, I guess you would see some of that in, I don't know, like runway models, or I mean, we've kind
Yeah.
of like gotten away from that, because now we're, celebrating, weight a little bit more, which I don't know is necessarily good thing to celebrate, but that in like ballet, I don't know if you understand, what the ins and outs of ballet, but some of those
I think they have
girls,
to like
man, they
starve
just,
themselves, don't they?
yeah, they do. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really bad. So, yeah, I guess like the relationship with food is important because, whether you're into bodybuilding and, you're having anxiety because you haven't gotten your next meal yet, or, it's the other way around where you're literally making yourself throw up because you feel
Mm.
guilty about eating in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's a hard balance, I would say.
I think it's just
You
all
know,
mental.
Yeah, it is. It is all
Yeah.
mental. And I think like having the right mentality behind like why you're doing what you're doing is seriously important. And with you being into MMA and some mixed martial arts stuff, my brother's into that as well. So, I'd be interested to get your take on that. But I think that's kind of more along the lines of healthy fitness, because now you are not only optimizing your body for strength, but you're optimizing your body for athleticism. Are you going to get the most out of your body if you're lifting weights and just trying to put on size? Or if you're moving
Yeah.
your body, now I've been getting into running a lot more and being able to move my body explosively and have just kind of raw strength instead of trying to, put muscle on for aesthetic reasons.
Mm.
And I'm guessing you're kind of doing the same thing along those lines.
Right now, I'm kind of just I am training for aesthetics, but also I'm training
Okay.
to be a better fighter at the same time, which doesn't really mix in too well, to be honest, because you'll be sore and you end up a bit slower. But I do want
Yeah.
to transition more to like improving as a fighter and doing like explosive kind of strength and
Yeah.
conditioning work. That's my focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So your business is, you're in the personal coaching, right? Personal
One to,
development. Yeah.
I guess under that
One-on-one.
bracket, yeah, one-to-one coaching,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And it's called Breakthrough Accelerator.
Yeah, I guess that's the name of the program, but it wouldn't be the
Okay.
name of like I don't know, some people have like a name for their I don't know. That's just the name of my program basically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So what does that look
Yeah.
like? That
In what
program?
way?
What kind of services do you offer? How do you work with people?
Hmm.
Is it mostly online? Do you do, diet plans?
Yeah,
What is it? Or is it kind of
gotcha.
just a, personal basis?
Yeah, it's very personal right now. It's very one-to-one. In terms of like the support they get from me, it's I check in with them every single day, make sure they're following the plan. If they didn't follow the plan, what was a constraint? Why was it a constraint? What can I do? What can they do? That's really where the accountability comes in to like make sure they're following the plan. In terms of what the plan is, it's like we figure out their goal. Like my ideal avatar is entrepreneurs who want to scale their business or they just want to be healthy while they scale their business. So it's
Yeah.
either like we're repairing like something that's holding them back with their health, or they just want to go to that next level. and I
Yeah.
guess make more money through further optimization. So
Yeah.
step one's really like figuring out the bottleneck, if it's like sleep or their hormones are bad or their diet is terrible or they just suck with, I guess, following a plan.
Yeah.
I guess with like discipline, accountability, following a schedule. So we keep that in mind. We keep their main goal in mind, whatever it is. And yeah, in terms of like increasing performance, like if we're talking about energy levels, mental clarity, motivation, it really comes down to, I guess, like what I help them with and what I create for them, like individualize is, a supplement protocol, diet protocol, training slash movement protocol, their routine, and obviously habits to improve their sleep.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you follow all of that, that really is going to give them what they want. The hard part is actually implementing it in their busy and chaotic lifestyle in a way where it's not
Right.
adding a bunch of shit to their plate, adding a bunch of, because, they're busy entrepreneurs. They often think like when I have sales calls, they think like, oh, I'm going to be doing this 1 hour long morning routine. It's like, no, it's just, it's really not that. When you know what really matters in health, which brings me to another topic. There's so many things you hear online and so many things people try and stick together about improving their health, and they often give up quickly. But anyway, like that is really what I do. I give them a plan and I integrate it into their lifestyle to where they can still work as much as they do, if not
Yeah.
work more and better
Yeah.
quality hours essentially, while improving their
Yeah.
health and then make more money.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, to answer the question.
Yeah. 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 That's important. So you're mostly working with, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's as a, because I have my pilot job and then I have, this an AI agency on the side, and I'm really, focusing on building that. And so I'm on like an 8 and 6 schedule, right? So, 8 days I'm gone flying and then 6 days I'm
Oh,
off
wow.
and I'm purely working on this.
Yeah.
So it's definitely getting to where I'm having to implement certain things into my schedule and to have a schedule. Cause, as if you are an entrepreneur, it's easy to let that schedule get away from you and just kind of get lost in, all the details of all the things that you have to do. So optimizing my energy is definitely becoming a big focus of mine. And I've been trying to implement this program where I'm getting up really early. So, on the sleep topic, what would you say would be the best way to go about it? Like training how many hours of sleep would you say is necessary, or is everybody different to have peak performance? Because obviously, you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, that alarm goes off and you're like, I bet I could get another hour and a half of sleep in.
Yeah.
Or I could get up and do what I said that I was going to do, which is go for a run. So it kind of like, I guess there's like a trade. You could either get the extra hour of sleep, and this is, I'm kind of talking about me here. I could get the extra hour of sleep and, maybe feel like I'm more rested.
Yeah.
Or I could actually get up at that 4:30 and go on a run because I know I'm going to feel better at the end of that run. So
Yeah.
it's like, am I going to feel better for having another hour of sleep, or am I going to
Yeah.
feel better
I know what you mean.
by actually doing what I said that I was going to do and go on the run? And more times than not, I usually always feel better if I do get up and I go for the run. And it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's along the lines of, guilt and,
Yeah. If you're
not
talking about,
guilting.
yeah, I think if you're talking about feeling better, like, is it like feeling more proud or is it like energy, or what would you say?
I would say maybe a little bit of both, because I
Yeah.
think that the way that I feel about myself and doing the things that I said that I was going to do, I think the trade-off sometimes is better if I lose the hour of sleep and just do that. Like this morning, I was up at 4:30 and I went for a run, and it was awesome, running in the dark and feeling like, there was nobody else awake and I'm out here awake
Yeah.
and, actually doing something. And then I came back in and, made my coffee or whatever, took a shower, made my coffee, and I felt already like I was starting the day off with some
Yeah. Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like with that day, do you feel like you don't have time to get that extra hour of sleep and run? Or is it like you prefer
Uh,
not to?
I think like the back end of my day is important, and optimizing the back end of my day, where I guess maybe training my body to be just used to being up earlier, I think would be better instead of staying up to all hours of the
Mm,
night and really needing that sleep
yeah.
at the end. So
Yeah,
How
yeah.
does that work for you? Are you setting an alarm or are you just letting your body wake up?
Yeah. So what I did for a long time, and I think was a big mistake because it's improved my performance so much, is actually sticking to a consistent wake up time now. Um,
Yeah.
because of your circadian rhythm. And like last year when I was here in Bangkok and just in general, I was like, oh, I know how to get good sleep. I'll just sleep and wake up whenever. Because here it's very social. You can meet people, you go on dates, whatever. You can sleep very late. So I was just like, you know what? I'm still productive throughout my day. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do whatever. I'm just going to sleep and wake up whenever. But when you do that, your circadian rhythm, which is your body's biological clock, it's going to release hormones at random times. It's going to be very confused. It's going to be releasing your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, which makes you feel it's not really just stress. Like it makes you feel alert and sharp. It's going to release that at random times. It's going to release your melatonin at not random times,
Uh,
but it's going to release it at different times. So you're not really going to be peaking in the morning. You're not going to be sleepy at night if you're waking up and sleeping at different times. So I would often just have
yeah.
brain fog. My diet was the same. Everything else was pretty similar. Just my timing of when I slept and woke up and when I went to the gym and ate was off, and that just throws everything off because you're going against your hormones. And I learned this just from watching, the top entrepreneurs like Sam Ovens, Charlie Morgan, Alex Hormones. I don't
Yeah.
think he talks about it much. The easiest way to perform better, which people don't talk about, again, that's a big statement, but in terms of just health, is just following your circadian rhythm, doing the same things at
Yeah.
the same time, because you're going to be going with your biology rather than against it.
Yeah.
You're going to be fighting brain fog. And now I wake up consistently at 9 a.m. and I just wake up like buzzing, even with a smile on my face, like a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Like I just wake up. Whereas like before, if it was like 9 a.m., then 10 a.m., then 8 a.m., then 11 a.m., it's just you wake up and you've got this brain fog and it takes you an hour to wake up. And
Yeah.
it's super, super important, I think, the sleep and wake up times. And with what you said before, if you're saying you want to optimize for peak performance, then obviously, yeah, I'd say like 8 to 9 hours of sleep. But if you're just
Okay.
optimizing for like feeling better, getting things done, feeling like a champion, then a lot of people can just sleep 6, 7 hours and just get a lot of work done. But at that point, you got to ask yourself, what is the quality of work you're getting done per hour? Because it's not just
Right.
about how much work you could get done, but the quality of when you're sitting down. Like one person could be getting 5 out of 10 units of focus done in that hour, whereas another person might have the same time and he's going to get 10 out of 10 units of focus in that time. So he's getting double done as this guy, even though they have the same time, because their brain is just operating better and faster and their processing is a lot better. And often people who sleep very low, their own judgment is off at how they're actually performing. Like they literally
Yeah.
cannot, they're like drunk, essentially. They're saying,
Yeah.
oh, I'm fine, I'm operating at maximum, but really, if you want to perform better, and also if you're worried about long-term health, you should be sleeping 7 to 8 hours, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, as I continue to test, I guess, and that's kind of what life is seeming to be lately for myself is just testing systems and testing habits and
Yeah.
seeing which ones stick and
Yeah.
which ones I
It's my
don't need
life.
and yeah,
It's been my life for
exactly.
years.
Yeah, that's a cool life to live, optimizing performance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the world is moving in that direction too, where people are really, they're really wanting to optimize themselves for better performance.
Mm,
And obviously there's a group of people that aren't, but I would say the majority are really looking to improve some part of their life. And a lot
yeah.
of that starts with, just feeling better, more energy, more
Yeah.
focus, and then
Feeling proud
feeling
of
some
themselves as well, a big thing.
being able to wake up with a smile on your face and be excited to work on the things that you're going to work on that day. Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
So along the, business side of things, how is that going? How many clients are you working with right now? And are you actively trying to grow your business?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Picking up a lot more now. I'm not rich. I'm not making a bunch of money. I'm probably working with like 7, 8 clients right now,
Okay.
one-to-one. And yeah, it's only my first, just over a year and a bit now. So I'd say I'm doing quite well for someone who's only been in it for a year. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely at the
absolutely.
stage of growing. Lately, I've been posting a lot of content.
Yeah.
Prices might go up depending the kind of clientele I work with. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it. Things are going well. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So besides content, what else are you doing to pull clients into the door?
I just need to get better at sales, to be honest, because
Yeah.
yeah, I've really, really been doing this for a year. Also because like this offer I have is a little bit unique compared to like
Yeah.
maybe fitness coaching. I feel like there's already like a script or like a structure people follow or a process to actually, kind of make the bridge and know if you can help someone or not. Whereas like my offer is a little bit weird. It's kind of hard to figure out the marketing and the sales kind of things. So I think for me, if I just get a little bit better at sales, I know there's been a lot of people recently where I could have helped, and I know I could have changed their life, and I just couldn't do
Yeah.
it, for whatever reason. So I would
Yeah.
convince them that, give them the power to make a decision. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Being able to, show them the possibility of where they could be, and kind of putting your offer, as the bridge to that gap between where they are and where they want to be. And a lot of that is,
100%.
education. So a lot of people don't even know that they're not
Yeah,
operating at full capacity.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and to be able to, point that out, I think would be that next step in that sales process is, where you are is good. And sometimes these guys that are doing, $1 million months, they don't know that they could be doing, $2 or $3 million months if, they had their schedule in order.
Mm,
But
fair. I think the smart ones are the aware ones definitely understand it. Like I had a client recently, I think he makes pretty good money, owns a big agency, but he just saw a gap in his performance. He just saw, his sleep is a little bit off. He could be working a little bit better, like maybe 1 to 2 hours could be better. And he just hopped
yeah,
on, paid me in full, and I didn't really need to do much selling. He just understands it. So I think more and more people are waking up to that. I think, to be
yeah,
honest, like the niche and industry I'm in now will probably boom very soon, especially because there's
oh
not
yeah,
many of us and there is a big need for it. A lot of people in general don't know how to be healthy in general.
yeah,
And now a lot of people are starting a business. So now there's a lot of unhealthy business owners with brain fog and low energy, and they're wasting all this time throughout the day. So I
yeah,
think it's going to be, who knows? I don't know, but I think it's going to be good in the future. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
One thing I was going to say is,
So yeah, go ahead.
sorry, yeah. One thing I was going to say back to health, when you mentioned like, it's fun just optimizing your health. I think when a lot of people think about like, oh, taking your health to that next level, it's like all the fancy stuff, like the saunas and like all these random machines, all this crazy stuff. But what you find often is like, you just basically figure out how to be consistent with the basics and do the basics very well. Make sure your blood work is
Yeah,
okay, your gut health is healthy, you're eating enough, you're timing your meals properly, you're getting your morning light, you're sleeping for enough time, you're exercising. Like when you just do that, that is the 80% of,
yeah.
that is a 20% of effort that's giving you the 80%. All the other stuff is just a cherry on top, a little bit fancy. So I just want to put that across there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, yeah, definitely. And kind of along those lines, with diet, what do you think of sugar? And if somebody was struggling with sugar cravings, what is the best way to go about stopping that?
I guess figure out, okay, what do I think of sugar? I have heard from some people, questionable sources, that sugar in general is bad, but I've also heard from sources I respect more and trust more that sugar itself is not bad. Like things like artificial sugar sweetness is a lot worse for you.
Hmm.
And sorry, what was the question after that? If someone has
Yeah,
sugar
so like,
cravings,
yeah,
what should
how
they
would
do?
you, yeah, how would you go about that?
Well, I think they gotta ask like why they're getting the craving in the first place. Often it's mental, so you're either stressed or you're bored or you're angry or you're sad
Mm,
or you're just maybe you're very hungry. Maybe you just have not been eating enough, and fair enough.
mm,
Maybe you're just restricting your calories too much. So I think some of it is just training your actions from emotion. Like when you feel bored, okay, just control yourself, don't do it, maybe do something else. So I think
yeah,
that's it. People don't realize how much of it is mindset. They just think, I'm hungry, I need to eat. I'm hungry, I need to eat.
yeah,
And I think the best thing for
yeah,
that is just to start meditating, because you're going to have a gap
yeah,
between when you feel the impulse and when you actually do something. So if you meditate, create that gap, you can catch yourself, kind of like, oh, I
mm,
want to check my phone. Instead of you just grabbing it, you can have a little moment to pause and be like, okay, I'm not going to touch it. Fuck it, I'm not
yeah,
going to touch it. I think
yeah.
that's it. I think that's
Do
it.
you implement meditation on a daily basis?
I used to do it every day for a few years. Lately, it's kind of on and off. I did it today, actually. I do it sometimes
Yeah,
here and there when my brain feels a little bit like, when my mind's a little bit all over the place, or like, I guess
yeah,
not relaxed enough, I'll meditate. Yeah, but
okay,
I don't force myself every single day. Yeah. I
yeah,
think I think
yeah,
it's good
that's,
for some people at certain phases in life. Like if they have a lot of stress or anxiety, or they just never got into meditation, they haven't built the skill of mindfulness, which most people don't. Their brains are really cooked from just scrolling TikTok, and they never let their brain relax. I think you should build your skill up for like a year or two. I think it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, man. Yeah, that was good. A lot of good information there.
Yeah, it's good questions. Good chat.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. If have just a couple more that maybe go a little bit deeper, and you can take your time to answer these last two questions. But if you were to improve your position in life right now, and you could go back in time and you could give, let's say, your 18-year-old you could give him one piece of advice, what would that, and you could only choose one, what would you tell the 18-year-old version of yourself?
I would tell them to, I don't know, it'd be hard for me to find the right one, but one would probably
Yeah,
be, because it would accelerate my growth so much quicker, would be go learn online business. Because I found
yeah,
online business when I was 21. If I was 18, I would have been 3 years ahead of where I am now, I believe.
yeah,
I think it was something that would have just accelerated my growth so much. I just didn't know it. I just didn't know it at the time. I was always
yeah,
had this inner drive and like an ambition. Even like as soon as I finished high school, I was like, bro, to my friend, I was like, bro, we're gonna go travel to South America. We're gonna go make a bunch of money somehow. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Make memories. You know, take ayahuasca in Brazil, whatever it is. And then
yeah,
I didn't know how. If I knew how, if I knew about online business or just things, I think it would have at least pointed me in that direction. Because I wasted a few years when I was like, no, 18, 19, 20, 21. So those 4 years I would be ahead, I think. Yeah.
Did you do ayahuasca?
No, no.
No, you
Done
didn't.
mushrooms and acid.
Okay. Do you plan on doing ayahuasca?
Got no desire to. Maybe I'll try it before I die. But yeah. What
Yeah,
about you?
that's an interesting topic, the whole ayahuasca. One of my mentors, his wife is a shaman. And I don't know that they're doing it much anymore. They were administering and doing ayahuasca ceremonies in Southern California. So that's an interesting rabbit hole, but we don't have to get into that.
I used to be so into it when I was young. I found it so fascinating. Just a whole new
Yeah,
world, a whole new dimension.
yeah,
But I don't really care too
yeah.
much now.
Yeah, yeah, the whole thing is, and I agree with you, it was very fascinating to me before. And now that I'm kind of on this daily hustle, it's not so much of
Yeah.
a thing. And I feel like my life is moving forward and it's moving in the direction that it needs to go and that I want it to go. And so there's really no big gap that I feel like ayahuasca could
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah.
But it is it's along the lines of the ego death and allowing the mother Aya to come in and kind of hold you while she shows you all of her traumas or all of your traumas, and then makes you throw it all up afterwards. So it's kind of like I don't know, self-abuse, but I think the
Yeah. It is.
whole community within it's growing, and there's a big group of people that are, really pushing it and really advocating for it. But yeah, so the last question here. So we talked about the 18-year-old version of yourself. Now,
Yeah.
what are your plans within the next 5 years to satisfy or to impress the 80-year-old version of yourself? So what would you have to do in the next 5 years to see the 80-year-old version of yourself appreciate you now?
Make good money and be a professional fighter. Have a few
Okay.
fights.
Yeah.
That would make my old self proud.
Yeah.
100%. It's
Cool.
gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
As
awesome.
long as I'm healthy,
That's
as long as
awesome.
I don't die, it will happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
100%.
Well, cool,
What about
man.
you?
Yeah. So how old are you?
24.
24. Okay. We're the same age. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
24 as well. I would spend the rest of my is absolutely grinding and to optimize my life for peak performance. And if I can do that by the time I'm 30 and have the life that I want to be able to live, and to start the businesses that I wish to start and have those work for me, I think that by the time I have a very clear vision of myself at 80, sitting on my porch in a rocking chair with all of my friends and family around. And weirdly, I imagine Thanksgiving, like a Thanksgiving get together.
Mm.
And to be looking out over the land, and because personally, I wish to have at least 50 to 100 acres, like a self-sustaining ranch, something that I pull beef off of, something that I
Yeah.
have crops and stuff, and have that whole life, and my businesses in the background, and the ability to hand those businesses off to my kids one day. I think if I were to have that at 80, and I would be able to be like the old man full of wisdom, sitting on the rocking chair, on the front porch, watching my grandchildren run around the yard, and everybody be happy. I think that I would be satisfied, and will have done the things that I've wanted to do.
I like
Um,
that. Yeah.
I think about my 80-year-old version, the 80-year-old version of myself a lot, and it's a big motivator for me to, keep going every day. Um,
Really. I've
yeah,
never thought about my 80-year-old self until now. I think that
yeah,
is what I want though. Old,
yeah,
full of wisdom, have your kids running around.
yeah, yeah. It's cool, right?
What makes you
Yeah,
think about it now? You were so young.
yeah. I used to be real selfish, and I used to, do the things that I did for myself, and whether it be wanting to start a business or wanting to get into flying, it was all about how I could satisfy myself and my own personal desires. But over the last couple years, I've started to imagine my family, my future family, and and understanding that the work that I do now is building that family, and the things that I'm doing now are building systems and businesses and incomes that would be able to support the kind of family and the kind of family dynamic that I wish to create for myself.
Mm,
And the motivation that I get behind working for my future family is way deeper than, way more motivating than if I
yeah.
were just doing it purely for myself. And so, like, just working for the family that I'm building and working for them. And even though they're real here, right? They're not real in my
Mm, yeah.
three-dimensional reality, but in my fifth dimensional reality,
100%.
they're absolutely, absolutely real. And I have like a bottomless amount of drive to be able to build that. So yeah, yeah,
I like that, man. That's
yeah,
what I learned the hard way, actually. I know what you mean because when I moved out here to Thailand, I quickly got comfortable because my motivation was to pretty much unlock this like dream life of doing what I want whenever I want and like going to
yeah,
the gym and hanging around friends and, running an online business. And I just got comfortable. And like now,
yeah,
the only thing that makes me like, what motivates me is just feeling good and making myself
yeah,
proud and improving. But like another big thing is just like for family, like, and for my future wife and kids. Like I'm just imagining me not being able to afford like something at dinner with my
sure,
family, or not being able to buy my mom something or my dad something or my sister something. I'm just like,
yeah,
fuck that. That cannot be a reality, So just have a
yeah,
little bit, remember that a little bit, and it
yeah,
just keeps me going. But yeah, I never really thought about that for a while till recently,
yeah.
and now that's been a good motivator,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
100%.
incredible to see the transition between like selfish desire and then, how much more motivation that I've unlocked just by thinking about somebody else and the life I
Mm,
might be able to give them. And
yeah.
it's huge. It's bottomless. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize how quickly they can actually get comfortable. Like it's not even just
Yeah.
about money, it's about like the lifestyle, like what they can like
Yeah.
freedom. Like once you get freedom
Absolutely.
for yourself, you just like most people just get comfortable. A lot of people come to Thailand and Bali, me myself, like it's easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And after that, you kind of I was in a phase of like, oh, I don't know, like should I do this? Should I not? Should I just go be a fighter? But then yeah, you kind of get a grip of it and you gain more clarity and then you just start working again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. What's your plans for the rest of the year, man? Are you staying up there? Are you traveling around a bit?
No, just flying, and we're just sort of getting this business off the ground. It's finally grown legs and it's walking on its own
Nice.
now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're working on hiring for a couple positions right now, hiring a sales closer and then hiring another VA. So yeah, it's feeling like it's getting off the ground, and I like
Nice.
that. So the next year, being able to have this thing completely run on its own would be definitely my goal. And hopefully in a year's time, my brother and I are planning on buying a piece of property, and so that would be my goal for the end of the year. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Get some
yeah.
cows and
Hopefully that.
chickens or
It's some cows and chickens, man. That's exactly
yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my
You
third
know,
motivation now as well. Get my own farm.
yeah. Yeah, man. And especially being, focused on health optimization and food. I don't
Yeah.
trust any of this food
Yeah, of course.
that's in the grocery stores, and
Shouldn't.
to be able to know exactly what that cow is eating, feeding it yourself, raising it yourself, and then butchering it, and knowing that you're getting zero processing, like it was 100% grass fed, all of this,
Yeah.
what's going into that. And then the chickens as well, and eggs are a huge part of my diet.
Yeah.
So having eggs that actually have a hard shell and not the like paper thin shell, because they're just feeding all sorts of whatever it would be, hormones and steroids in the food that the chickens are eating that's making the eggs, you know, a lesser
Mm.
quality. So just being able to live 100% natural diet, to eat 100% natural diet
Yeah.
is huge, is huge.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to, you know, our ancestors and, you know, hunting our own food and getting that real quality meat. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's 100% where I'm headed.
100%. Yeah, I used to be, in terms of health, I used to be all about diet about a year ago. I was really about like eating raw foods and everything has to be organic and grass-fed.
Yeah.
Now I just kind of do what I can. I try and get organic. If not, like I
Yeah.
just do what I can really. But that is
Yeah.
definitely the end goal, getting everything
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. More of a long-term plan. Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
I think we'll live longer too, to be honest,
Yeah.
and live healthier longer, be more sharp later into the years of life, or to be more physically able. Because I
Mm.
think it's you'll start to see. I feel like diet make its impact in the later years of life. Or, you know, being
Mm.
young, I feel like, you know, you can get away with a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, you'll start to see what you did in your 20s. You'll start to see it in your 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 60 still training martial arts and going crazy. You know, other 60-year-olds might be like acting like they're 90.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's huge. And what you do, you know, health and fitness wise is definitely going to determine how you live in your 60s.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope that, you know,
100%.
if I do everything right, when I'm 50, I'll be in my prime. And that's
When you're
and that's kind
50?
of where I want to be. Yeah, in my prime. So like
What do you
men,
consider prime
obviously,
though? What's prime?
prime, I would say the most. So there's, I guess you have your prime physically, and then you have your prime emotionally, you have your prime mentally, and then not necessarily physically in a sense of body health, but physically as far as all of the systems that you've built around your life. And so I would say by the time I'm 50, I will have reached, you know, my prime all the way around, where, you know, men really don't reach their prime physically until they're about 30, 35. So we, you know, mature a lot later than, say, women, where they kind of reach their physical prime in their mid. I would say, including all of the businesses that should have been developed if I did everything right, the family that I would have built, the learning along the way, the amount of value that I will be able to offer, and my physical health, all of that combined, I would say 50 to 55 would absolutely should be the prime years of my life, where
Mm.
all of the systems are developed and I'm
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
operating
I know what
efficiently
you mean.
all the way around.
Like a Joe Rogan a few years
Like a
ago.
Joe Rogan, yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. That guy, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best. That's like him, but you'd have to take a bit of TRT to be like him. Would you take, I'll take TRT like after maybe 30, 40 or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To sustain and maintain. Yeah,
Yeah, doing it the
um,
right way, of course.
yeah, the right way. Yeah, not yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. If people could get a hold of you and your business, and maybe want to look at hiring you as a coach, where would be the best way that they could reach you?
Yeah, just message me on Instagram, EHAB
Instagram.
underscore ZED.
Okay,
Just
awesome.
message me, say energy, or just check out my
Yeah,
content, give me a follow. No need to message me. And
cool,
yeah, thank you for
awesome.
having me, bro.
Yeah,
This was
yeah,
good. I enjoyed it.
absolutely. Yeah, likewise. It was fun. All right, Ehab. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bro. Thank you.
All right.
Take care, guys.